Hey everybody, welcome to our
Hey,
new Monday timing here. I'm Donna. This is Wayne. This is Wayne. There.
I'm Wayne.
That's Wayne. We usually do Monday noons, but we're hoping to get a little more engagement by 5 p.m. and we can do. Certainly have a topic that should call for a bit of engagement. So if you're online, please say hi. So that we're not just talking to each other, which is wonderful. I mean, it's my second favorite thing still.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we're talking about cash flow properties. So there aren't any.
What?
That's no, they're gone.
Oh,
Scooped up. Yeah. So
well, shit.
so
Sorry.
okay. It isn't that cash flowing properties aren't there. It's that people aren't finding them. I have a
hmm
theory and I think you have a theory.
I have multiple theories.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Okay, where do we start?
Oh, well, start by saying hello to everyone that's joined in.
Yes.
As you said, we want to get a little more engagement because, when we first started this, we thought, okay, well, we're going to do one in the evenings and we're going to do one at lunch because everyone's like, I want lunch. And no one shows up at lunch. We're talking to ourselves.
Not really. We have some people and stuff, but we want to see if we can catch more of them. So,
Mm. This is
so
very
yes.
valuable content. Maybe I'm biased. Did I just see a glimpse of Barry?
Did you see him? There he is. Yeah, there's Barry. Yep.
It's this is a good one because every where do you start? Because everyone who takes your course, past students, new students, they all say, I want a zero money down deal. I want it to be suited. I want it to be beautiful. I want it in a great neighborhood, great market, and zero money down and cash flowing. And I want them to carry it for at least 5 years. And they're having trouble.
What? What? Yes, they are. Across Canada, that is the dream investment property for creative strategies, and not necessarily they're they're not being dropped on people's doorsteps.
Do they exist? They do. They exist for sure, right? It's just a
Oh yeah,
matter.
absolutely.
It's just a matter of knowing where to look and how to structure that offer, right? So are we focusing on cash flow properties in general today? Or are we focusing on cash flow properties on creative deals?
Well, for me, it's generally well, actually, that's a really good point, isn't it? So for creative, which is what we teach creative strategies. So that was my theory actually, is that people weren't using their creative muscles to structure a deal to be cash flowing where perhaps it wouldn't be if it was just a regular buy and hold.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of new people here as well. Maybe some people that have just stumbled across the page and they don't even know what cash flow is, right? Maybe they're super new investors, and obviously we welcome them. But maybe just a quick explanation of what cash flow is. Cash flow, pretty simple, is the difference between the rent and the expenses. That's simple, right? You want to find and every real estate investing seminar, course, program, they all tell you the same thing. Always invest for cash flow, right? You always want to find a good market, a strong market, and you want the rents to be significantly higher than the expenses. The more cash flow you have, the lower the risk. And the reason there's a lower risk is because in the event of the market maybe the rents go down or interest rates go up, or property taxes go up or insurance rates go up, it will diminish the amount of cash flow you have in it. And if you have a good cushion, then that means that you are safe from any market interference, right? Just if anything happens, you always have a good cushion. And that's why, real estate's great. And that's why people invest in cash flowing rental properties, so that you're always safe. Some people don't. Some people buy, break evens. And those are typically the people that are most exposed to risk. So for investors who come to your courses and they have all this theory and knowledge of, I have to buy cash flowing properties, and then they look for cash flowing properties with seller finance and they can't find it, they're perplexed. So why don't we start off by how you would normally look for a cash flowing property, non-creative, right? Like, how would you normally search for cash flow? You would
talk to my realtor.
Yes. You would research the market. You would research the price points, right? The purchase prices in that area. The rents, the market rents for those properties. You would research the expenses, local expenses like property taxes, insurance, that kind of stuff. Condo fees, right? That's how you'd normally do it. And you do the same thing with when you're looking for agreement for sales or seller finance properties. The difference is that in these scenarios with a seller finance, you're not financing the property. The seller already has financing. And when you buy an investment property, you typically put a minimum 20-25% down, which lowers your mortgage amount. And it also allows you to get a longer amortization than, say, if you were to buy it as a homeowner with, say, like a 25-year amortization or a 20-year amortization. It comes down to mathematics. I say this a lot. I love math. It's just mathematics. The reason why we're having trouble finding cash flowing AFS properties is because most of the sellers that you're calling are homeowners, and their mortgages are amortized over 25 years. And you're so used to putting 20% down and getting 30-year amortization, you're like, why doesn't it work? It's because your mortgage payments are higher. So your mortgage payments are higher, like by about $300 to $400, depending on what scale you're at, right? And a lot of people have trouble recognizing this.
So
that's
that's
why I'm explaining.
So if that's the case, it's because, it's just a personal residence mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
What can I do about that?
Not much.
Oh. Well, that's it, guys. I thought he had some magic just waiting to tell us, but
there's no secret. It is what it is. As much as I hate saying that, you can't change the rent. You can't change the fact that they financed it that way. But there's another key thing that people don't recognize. The profits are exactly the same if they amortized it over 25 years or if they amortized it over 30 years. The difference is that when you amortize it less, like say a 25-year mortgage, more goes down on principal pay down. If you amortize it longer, more goes into your pocket.
Okay, so it's like this.
Yes, just like that.
Now or later, right?
Now or later. Now, if you had the choice, every day, always go for cash flow. The more money you have in your hand, the better. Liquidity is everything in business, because you're going to be able to weather those storms when things outside of your control happen.
Like hail damage, as Rosanna says. Yeah.
Rosanna says hail damage. Yeah.
That's
sure
that's one. Yeah.
Shelley Visser would probably agree with that as well. So I don't want to just say, hey, tough titty, there's nothing you can do about it. That's a phrase.
Okay. May have heard it once or twice. Yes.
There's nothing you can do about it, but there are some things you can do, but I mean, you can just accept it. And there's ways to mitigate that, right? There's ways you can use creative combinations to cover the negative cash flow, or, you know, you can search out for cash flowing properties. Some markets may have it. It's very, very rare. It's very rare you will find a market that has a rent to purchase price ratio where it will cash flow with a 25-year amortization. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying in most markets, people are struggling with it. Another thing you can do is you can go and approach investors, right? Or you can approach people who have it amortized over 30 years, right? Going to investors, though, and going to people who have it amortized over 30 years, there's one problem. They typically have at least 20% equity in their property, right? So if they have equity, what's their motivation for selling? And, you know, maybe that's a really good point. Now, if you guys have any thoughts on that, I mean, on what do you think the motivations would be for a seller if they have equity, right? Whether it be an investor or non-investor. Maybe in the comments, you guys can just fill it out below. You know, leave a comment and let us know, what do you think some sellers might have, what some motivation sellers might have if, you know, if they had equity.
And we certainly know that exists.
It does.
Absolutely.
And it's funny when you posted it today and it said it's a great property, but I can't make it cash flow. I could picture Andrea. I could picture her just laughing and saying, "Why is Wayne doing this?" Because Wayne doesn't buy for cash flow. So I do buy for cash flow, but I don't for green for sales. And I could just see her laughing. You know what I mean? Because Andrea Workington is I don't know how she does it. She manages to find cash flowing properties, the green for sales, and she's the best person to ask. And yet here I am.
You've done it. You've done it. Hi, everybody.
I would look for less liability. What do you think what do you think they mean by that?
I think that was when we were talking about what is cash flow. So maybe in that.
Okay. Well, if nobody has a great idea, then, you know, I'll fill a couple examples in. I mean, why would someone sell? Okay, let's rephrase this. Why would someone sell you their cash flowing amazing property, right? There's nothing wrong with it. Why would they sell that to you with seller financing for zero money down? Well, I mean, some examples that I've heard are that a seller sometimes might be trying to offload their portfolio. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to do almost like a tax planning, a tax strategy where instead of selling all their properties in year one, they will stagger it so that they can sell them over a period of time so that they don't get hit with huge taxes, right, from selling capital gains. That's one way.
Mm-hmm.
Barry likes to say, you can't assume a seller's motivation. Sometimes they just do. Tyson Swain just bought a property just recently, and he got some pretty favorable terms, right? Mm-hmm. Sweeter property in Edmonton. I don't remember the exact details, but what he did was he made it a win-win. And that's ultimately what this is all about. What you're trying to do is you're trying to make it a win-win. So if a seller has no motivation whatsoever, there's not a whole lot of reason for them to sell it to you. So some examples might be, maybe you need to pay over market value, right? Some people don't like that. You might have to, maybe you structure it in a way where you pay more interest than what they're paying interest on their underlying mortgage. So maybe they have a 3% mortgage, you pay them a 5% mortgage. And what that'll do is that'll give them a 2% spread on their money, not on their money, on the full purchase price. So they're going to make some cash flow. That's a great way. I mean, if maybe this seller is stubborn. They don't want to pay a realtor fees. You know, they want to sell it, but they want top dollar. You could do something along those lines and also add a little bit of an interest spread so that they can make a little bit of cash flow as an incentive until they get all their money. It's all about being creative. Right, Donna?
Absolutely. But I'm wondering, if you're paying them more, how does that help you for cash flow? Because you're finding it at the end?
Can you repeat your question?
In that example you're talking about paying, you're helping the seller find cash flow, but how are you finding cash flow in that property?
Well, that would decrease my cash flow for sure. So this is assuming that this is a primo cash flowing property, right? I can't, without running a mortgage calculator, determine what, you know, of course you need to make sure it cash flows for you if that's your intent and your goal at a 5% interest rate, say, for example. Going back to it, it is difficult. It is very difficult. And yet lots of people have success with agreement for sales.
Absolutely.
Right?
Is your approach, Wayne, different when it's a potentially creative property deal than in how you look at it for cash flow versus buy and hold?
100%. 100%. Normally what I'm doing is I'm trying to determine what the seller's underlying motive is, you know, why they're doing it. I've never approached someone, an owner, and said, would you like to sell me your property and carry the financing, and I'm not going to give you any money for 5 years? I've never done that. Normally the seller has some sort of a motivation, right? And you can find those sellers, those investors, through our circles, right? There's a lot of times that people are selling properties and they have their own reasons, right? Or you can do it through some sort of a marketplace, whether it be like a Kijiji or something like that. But, you know, I know that Andrea, she has a very large network of investors. Everybody knows who Andrea is. And she leverages that because, you know, she hears things, she talks to people. And as people say things, they have problems, you know, they have concerns, issues. She's just an amazing woman that's very, you know, she has a way of just, you know, she can find solutions for people and solve problems and you know, way better than other people can. You know what I mean? Because she just has that, you know what I mean? She has that a good soul. Whereas other people, they might come in and maybe be a little too forward, right? Her kitchen table talk is a great example, right? She just very, very calm. She explains things thoroughly, and that's a huge it's a huge benefit for her because it makes things easy, and she's able to solve problems that way. What about properties that don't cash flow? Are they bad? Now I definitely want to see comments below to find out what people think. Are negative cash flowing properties bad? Or can they work?
Well, I'm thinking back to a few of our deal or no deals. The one for sure was a negative cash flow. But did we say yay or nay on that one? It was a qualified yes.
It was a qualified yes. Yeah, I don't remember the deal specifically.
There were some things we wanted to do. Oh, we have a no and a yes.
Oh,
same person. Same person.
I agree with both. I think negative cash flow sucks. It's very risky. It's very risky. But why do people do it? Opportunity, right?
Terms.
We just released the AFS deal analyzer after the last course, right? And that was a bonus. The AFS deal analyzer, the purpose of that was to show that there is a value in an AFS opportunity. And some of those, without giving away all the secrets of the AFS deal analyzer, the values of the agreement for sale. Someone's car alarm, I apologize. The values of an agreement, the value in an agreement for sale is that someone's carrying financing for you, and you're getting in for less than the traditional 20-25% down. And the reason why we created and developed that AFS deal analyzer was to establish a measurable value of what those are worth in a full agreement for sale deal, right? Typically, I would not score a negative cash flowing property very well, right? No one should take a negative cash flowing property if you're buying it traditionally. However, if you've got a deal where a seller is willing to carry financing for you for 5, 6, 10 years, and they're letting you get into the deal for zero money down, $10,000 down, there has to be a value in that. And because of that, the value of the deal goes up. And suddenly the fact that it's negative cash flow, it kind of evens out, right? But I'm not endorsing anyone to do a negative cash flowing deal. I'm not pushing anyone to. It's within your comfort zone and where you are in your investment career, right? Keep in mind the profits are the same. It's just a matter of how much is going down towards the mortgage and how much is going to cash flow. So in my opinion, I'm willing to take calculated risks with lots of research in order to increase my net worth in order to get more properties. And a lot of people agree with that, and some people don't. It's a comfort thing. It's a you thing. There is a lot more negative cash flowing deals because of the fact that there's lots of homeowners that are distressed, right? There's plenty more distressed homeowners than there are distressed investors. So there's lots of opportunity in the homeowner realm of properties, and therefore there's lots of negative cash flowing deals that are available. I won't go too far into whether you should or you shouldn't. That's entirely up to you, your family, and your investment risk levels.
Risk tolerance, yeah.
Tolerance, thank you. But I just want to give everyone a clear understanding as to why some people do negative cash flow deals and why there's not so many cash flowing ones. It really just comes down to the mathematics of it. I wish there were more cash flowing deals. I wish that I could load up my portfolio with people holding mortgages and zero money down. That would be amazing. But you can't help it. It's just not there. Now, maybe things change over the next couple of months.
I think there are those, and it's the ability to, as we teach, the ability to listen for the opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to make sure you're networking. You make sure you're doing your cold calling to FSBOs,
mm-hmm.
the ads. Neil Taniguchi loves the tired landlords, although he doesn't remember how to do the calls anymore. But I did watch the replay of Thursdays. He had Neil had seen the ad on a Facebook group, property for sale, and he saw another ad by the same guy for rent. So he goes, "Oh, tired landlord, here's a chance." And he couldn't remember how to start the conversation.
Because it'd been a while? I must have been out for that one.
Oh yeah, you were in. Yes, you didn't watch the replay. It was a really good one. So it is using the creative training that you're taught in this group and in our courses to recognize the opportunities, which is you're not looking at the numbers first. You're looking for, how do I help? What does the seller need? What's his motivation or her motivation? And go from there.
Mm-hmm. Measure the opportunity, measure the possible profits that you can make, and then determine whether the risk is worth it. There is risk. There's always risk in any form of investing. And typically there's a touch more risk and in this strategy, but there is way more opportunity. So you need to be able to recognize where that line is for you and what your tolerance is. And this is why Barry and yourself and everybody else, we all recommend that you never, ever, 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 ever do this without getting education.
Yes,
without
please.
surrounding yourself with other investors who understand this, who can support you. Right? We got a bunch of comments. Obviously,
Okay.
Terry had mentioned it all depends on the property and the amount of negative cash flow. For sure. For sure. Again, what are the benefits that you guys offer? You offer, you teach other strategies that complement this very well. These are strategies that I've utilized myself, are a way to creatively combine strategies to make sure that you lower your risk, right? If you're buying a negative, so we have a question. If you're buying a negative cash flow place, but you are buying it to renovate and get more rent plus worth more at the bank, it can work. Yes.
It's basically the BRR.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. There's so many different ways to approach this. This is not always just purchasing or acquiring a property by way of agreement for sale and just turning it into a rental. Sometimes it can be used as flips as well. And if you can get some short-term seller financing, okay? If you can get some short-term seller financing so you can complete your renovations and flip that property and sell it, that's some pretty cheap financing, right? Compared to what flippers are normally paying, for private lending, anywhere from 10 to 15%. If you can secure anything from 1.5% right now to 3%, that's huge savings. So lots of different ways you can use it. But today we're obviously talking about cash flow, right? We're talking about, using it as, using this strategy for rentals or rent own, I guess. What about foreclosures? Someone asked, what about foreclosures? How would you structure the AFS? Donna, would you like to address this?
I think that once it gets to foreclosure, it's too late to structure an AFS. Right. Because you'll be working with the bank and the lawyers, and they're not such fans. Exactly. That is why we recommend that you do the calls or you place the ads to try to target these people before they get to this point. Mm-hmm. Are you about to miss a mortgage payment? Call me. That thing. We want to get this before.
Mm-hmm. And again, like we mentioned before, that's a scenario where you're trying to attract, motivated and motivated sellers, who are motivated by circumstances. And you can always approach sellers who are not so motivated. Maybe they have some circumstances that are not so desperate, and structure a deal that's win-win, right? And like the examples that we listed before.
So we always focus on problem solving, solution providers, win-win. How can I help?
Yeah. So the mystery Facebook user is Yarek. He says, I don't know why my name is showing under Facebook user instead. So in case you're wondering why it comes up as Facebook user, what you need to do is go to streamyard.com/Facebook. There should be a link in the description somewhere here. And you go there and it basically just authorizes StreamYard to use your name and photo on Facebook. So it looks cooler and cleaner than Facebook user. but thank you, Yark. I appreciate that. Terry says, I want to help you with your rental property. Can we talk? I assume he's talking to someone else, maybe.
Or as an opening, as an opening. For example, Neil's forgetting how to open the conversation. So yes, absolutely.
I misread. For sure.
Great. Okay. Preforeclosures. Hi, Leona.
I think that's just what I mean. Like we have time for more questions. If anyone has any questions about
so Yarek was, I believe it was Yarek saying pre-foreclosures as opposed to foreclosures. I don't know if that was who it was. Down a little further there, about 534. So
Oh,
structuring an AFS deal for pre-foreclosure, absolutely. That's pretty much one of the best situations, most optimum.
mhm,
And so agreement for sale is a form of seller financing. So it's all in the negotiating. The structuring specifically is done by the lawyers once you do the special financing schedule that we include for agreements for sale.
mhm.
Then you work out how you make the payments, take over all of the payments, the insurance, mortgage payments, taxes. It's a system. Yeah.
Mhm. And obviously, for anyone just tuning in right now, if you're wondering why we're here and we're not here at noon earlier today, is that we made the decision to start streaming at 5 o'clock. Not enough people were watching during their lunch hour. 5 o'clock is a much more popular time, and people were ended up watching it later on in the watch party anyway. So why not just do it live? And that way, everyone has the opportunity to ask your questions live rather than just posting them and waiting for responses. So we are live, as you can tell in the little red little box in the top left corner. So if you do have any questions, feel free to ask them. Obviously, today we're talking about why can't I find any cash flowing properties for creative deals? And Donna established very early on in the video, or the live video, that it's because there aren't any.
I was being facetious.
Okay. So
There are plenty. If you're in our student success group, you hear a lot of those that are finding the deals, and sometimes they're just wholesaling them. They're signing the AFS contract because it's not their location or what have you. So how are you finding the properties? If only we taught a course on that. I mean, it's multifaceted. It's making the calls and finding the sellers why. It's going to Kijiji and the Facebook groups. If you have an area that you're looking for, make sure you're on all the Facebook groups for that area. Engage people, make sure people know that you're doing it so they can refer people to you. And then it's in the negotiation. So it's the lead analysis. Finding them is putting yourself out there.
And for Andrea, it's all about your network.
Well, yeah, that's putting it out there that you are this person. Yeah,
you are a solution provider. If there are investors in your community who could benefit from something like this, they need to know that you are available. You are the person to offer that solution. They need to know to come to you. The alternative is to literally shake every single investor's hand and say, "Hi, would you like to sell me your properties for zero money down?"
Don't open with that. Don't ever open with that.
No, that
don't mind me asking. Why are you selling? Slow it down there. So, yes.
You do your way, I'll do my way, Donna.
Okay. We'll revisit this in 1 year.
Art Kitchener asked, where can I learn more about AFS deals? I was wondering if it makes sense to do an AFS deal with realtors involved if the property is already up on MLS. There is a great investor spotlight we did 2 weeks ago with Dave Coughlin, where he did an agreement for sale on a property that was on MLS. He called the sign. He called the number on the sign as he drove by and said, I'd like that property. I'm going to call them and talk to them. Talk to the realtor, and he put together an agreement for sale. And it was probably one of the best agreement for sales I've heard yet.
I have another one.
You have another one?
Yeah.
What?
Yes. But that's, those big deals where we just go, okay, we have to slow down the big deals because people think it's too good to be true, that we're blowing. There's a lot of smoke on this one. It's amazing.
Really?
So back to the question.
When do we get to hear about it?
Well, I'm pacing it. So because we did have, we had the investor spotlight with the amazing one. I didn't want to have it too close. Then it's like, oh yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Wow, a little teaser there.
Well, okay, so here's another teaser. Next week, we're going to have an investor spotlight where the seller is writing a check to the buyer.
Ooh, those are my
So
favorite.
it happens. They do exist. Okay, so anyway, back to the question. All right.
Yeah. Sorry.
barrymaguire.ca/shop. We've got home study kits. You can look in the videos in this group here. There's lots that can give you an idea.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Tons of videos.
And then realtors, absolutely. We're going to start maybe in December. We're going to start doing a couple of Thursdays talking about realtors and creative strategies specifically.
There are a handful of realtors in our city that are doing it, and very, very creative people. And yes, it absolutely can be done with a realtor. Absolutely. You just got to know where the creative realtors are.
It's just like with the lawyers. You have to have lawyers that understand the strategies, but absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Rosanna said these are in Calgary. Realtor working with builders.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so is that asking how to open up the conversation or?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Rosanna saying they're in Calgary, realtor working with builders. Was she asking about opening the conversation with those realtors, or that they are doing a creative strategy, selling creative strategies?
I'll admit I'm not 100% sure.
Huh.
You'll have to clarify what you mean, Rosanna. I think it would be amazing if more realtors understood seller financing and agreement for sales. That would be a huge benefit to not only the buyers, right, and selling the property quickly, but also to the sellers, just as an added, an alternative way of looking at selling, right? There's a lot of sellers, a lot of investors that aren't familiar with these strategies, and there's a lot of benefits to selling with agreement for sale as well. As I mentioned earlier, there are situations where perhaps you can get your top dollar and increase the interest rate by a little bit. And I've done a deal. A lot of people know I've done a deal like that myself, where I've sold a property. I got top dollar, and I'm getting cash flow from it every month. Like the return that I'm getting on my equity that is left in that deal for a few years is really good. And the buyer gets a cash flowing property. They do exist. I've done it. They do exist. You can get cash flowing properties. Zero money down is a little tough. You know, beggars can't be choosers. You have to understand that there has to be win-win. And you need to lower your standards.
We don't like that. We don't like to say no money down because there is going to be legal fees. And so we don't like to say no money down. So we usually say low money down or focus on the other benefits of agreements for sale versus just.
I love agreement for sales for the opportunity. When I first took this course, I say this a lot, it literally changed my investment career, it changed our business. We were stuck, and I was able to acquire properties to increase my portfolio. And I leveraged that to bring more joint venture partners on. And then everything after that exploded. And I know there's a lot of investors that are stuck around that 2, 3, 4 properties. They are capped out for cash. They are capped out for mortgages, and they have no options. And they're not quite savvy enough or comfortable enough with talking to their family and friends about joint venture opportunities. So they're stuck. This is a great way to take a little risk, right? To increase your portfolio, to increase and to leverage that for, your social media, your website, and everything else to show that you are indeed the person that you say you are and that you are worth investing with. You can bring joint venture partners on these. In my opinion, it changed my life. So that's why I was willing to take those calculated risks. I'm still not 100% sure the context, and maybe it's because we read your question or statement a little later than you said it. But cash flowing properties available, buildings. So I think she's saying there are cash flowing properties available.
That sounds exactly like what she's saying. Yes. Thank you, Rosanna. Clarity. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yark, it's good to see your name in your picture. You figured it out. So yes, go to streamyard.com/Facebook and it will show your profile picture and your name. So Yark asks, so would prefer to have cash flow now instead of bigger payout while using AFS at the end of the contract, while not even having any liability in the deal. Why always investors focus on cash flow? I agree. I don't want people to make I don't want people to make risky decisions just to get ahead. I completely agree. This is not for an average and investor, and you need to be sophisticated and you need to be educated. But I agree with you that Donna, you might want to stop me.
Well, I'm a little confused. That sounds like a very sophisticated, maybe a little bit flippant response here. That when you're starting out in creative strategies, you have to weigh the pros and cons of having cash flow versus not having cash flow. For basic buy and hold, I think that cash flow is important. If you have one or two properties, that's a small pond. If something goes bad in it, it taints the water pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. I think, and I asked you to stop me because I don't want my personal opinions in here. That's not the point of this. The point is to talk about cash flow. But my personal opinion is that I think a lot of people don't understand that. I did a podcast about this recently. I don't think people understand that just because it has high cash flow does not mean that it is more profitable. It's just if the rent and the purchase price and the mortgage amount are the same. Sorry, the rent and the purchase price are the same, and the expenses. It's just more down the principal of the mortgage as opposed to cash flow. It's the exact same return on your money.
So long as you can weather the storm, if there's a storm.
Mm-hmm. And I talked about how it changed my life and how it grew our business and everything else, and we were able to do more deals. I stopped buying agreement for sales. I stopped. I had a cap because when I looked at it, I had a bunch of negative cash flowing deals, right? And I mixed them with other creative strategies to cover the negative cash flow. But when I looked at it, I said, I was looking at my portfolio as a whole, and I was looking at it from a risk perspective. And I said, if anything changes in the market right now, I'm screwed, right? And I do not want to put my family in that position. So I stopped buying agreement for sales. And a lot of people ask me, why aren't you buying up agreement for sales? Trust me, I had plenty of deals that I tried to wholesale. I had plenty of deals. I can get them any day. But I made the decision from a risk perspective that I didn't want to take on any more risk. As my resources increase, I am doing more deals now, and I'm looking into that. But it's your risk tolerance, and you need to look at that and make sure that you're not exposing your family to too much risk. Absolutely. But I saw it as a necessary, I don't want to say evil, a necessary risk in order to get ahead.
It's why we don't celebrate how many deals people do. How many do we focus on?
Oh, one.
One damn deal.
Yes, absolutely. And I apologize for bringing in my personal opinion. It was just, I really do want people, to take this course, to realize the opportunity, and then to take a very good look at their portfolio and how they can benefit them. But I just had a conversation with someone over the weekend about this, and he had mentioned that I want to do 10 agreement for sales per year for the next 10 years. And he established how much money he was going to make. I said, don't do it. I know you can. I know this guy could. Trust me, he could just as much as I could. So you don't want to put that level of risk on your family. You don't want to expose yourself that much.
And
But,
agreements for sale are a lot of work.
Oh, that's the other thing too. I told him you have no idea
They're
what
a
you're
lot
in
of
for.
work.
It's a
Has
rental.
this person taken our course?
No.
Oh,
No. He's going to though.
okay. They need to know all of
Oh, trust
all
me,
of it
he's
before.
taking the course.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yark says, I gotta go back to what he said before. Putting future home buyer instead. No cash flow needed. I think I know. Is he referring to an RTO exit
Or a signing?
or an assignment? Put my name on the AFS, putting future home buyer instead. No cash flow needed. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that. But please do clarify. Mystery Facebook user says, would you guys invest in secondary markets like Camrose, Fort Saskatchewan, and Lloydminster for higher cash flow and better chances of getting BTB, or invest only in bigger cities? I am not going to speak about what markets I would invest in, just for obvious reasons. However, I do believe I think if you understand that market, did we not talk about this last week?
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about smaller markets.
Yep.
Why? What were we talking about?
We did a deal analysis.
No deal.
Deal or no deal.
And that was in a small town. And great cash flow, because obviously if you can get a lower price point, that means that your expenses are lower on your mortgage, and if the rent is higher, yeah, absolutely. You're going to get a higher percentage of a chance of better cash flow in smaller towns, villages, communities, secondary markets.
Do your research though.
Yes.
Do your diligence. Don't get seduced by the numbers. Make sure you do all your diligence.
Absolutely. And I was going to mention that earlier. I think I just passed over the thought, but we had mentioned that when you're looking at a normal traditional property, you're going to buy a traditional mortgage, right? Not creative. How do you normally search for cash flow? You research the areas. It's not the primary reason you would look for cash flow, but you do need to research the market to ensure that it's a stable market that you can invest in for a long term, buy and hold. So just like when you're looking for markets to determine whether it's a market you want to invest in, when you're doing creative deals, you should be doing your research on that market as well. Is it oil based? You know what I mean? Is it reliant on the mill? You know what I mean? Like what kind of how strong is the market? Right. So absolutely. I mean, if you know a market really well, like Fort Sask is, I know that market. It's a very great market. Lots and lots and lots of jobs in that area, and it's close enough to a big city. Camrose is a little farther, but if you do your research and you can get great cash flow, huge opportunity. Someone just did a deal in Camrose recently with an AFS. Was it Camrose or was it Wetaskiwin?
No, it was Camrose. Was it? Well, we shouldn't name names anyway. So.
No, definitely not. But it is possible.
Yes, and it's being done. Yes. Yes.
Terry says, I need a refresher. When is the course being offered again? Donna?
We don't have anything booked for agreements for sale, probably for quite some time. But you know what you can do? Send me a message, Terry. I've got the recordings from our last one, which was gold. That the video, the audio, the manual, the workbook, all of that. If you message me, I'll give you a discount if you want to buy the recording. How's that?
I've talked to a few people recently because they bought it after, because I was obviously there. I know how amazing it was, but I know that you made it an option to purchase that one at a discount from the last August one. And I've talked to a bunch of people and they said, holy crap, Wayne.
I mean, just to watch you do the role playing, I mean, still brings a tear to my eye.
That's what everyone says. That kitchen table talk between you and Andrea.
That was
Academy Award.
the role playing. The focus team did the most amazing job. It's worth it just to watch and hear how they manage what everyone is going through, because you're going to go through it. If you're looking for any creative deals, you're going to go through exactly the same things. It was great. It was really okay.
I'm gonna leave the opportunity available for another 2 or 3 minutes if anyone has any more questions about finding cash flowing creative deals. I think we covered just about everything.
I have one more thought. Once you understand the strategy, you have done your education and you understand the pros and cons of a strategy, reach out to your own realtor. Even if they're not versed in the creative strategy, they will know what seller doesn't fit their traditional MLS model, because they won't have money to pay commissions because the property values drop so much, or because of mortgage payout, or just the amount of commission. So they could then refer to you. Andrea gets a lot of those from her realtors, where people go, oh, they just can't afford to sell the traditional model. So
Tag your realtor, invite them to the page, and tell them to watch the videos, because there's a ton of great content. The more realtors that understand it, the more opportunities that are available. If your realtor doesn't understand it, tag them. Tell them to watch this. I'm fairly certain they would be open to more opportunities to put buyers and sellers together. And there is no shortage of sellers who have low equity situations where realtors are pretty much walking away from them because they're not going to get paid. There's opportunities everywhere. Tag your realtors. Why don't you put on a course for realtors?
Well, a lot of realtors attend our courses.
But like a specific to realtors, the agreement for sale course for realtors, specifically for them. I suppose the course, it's you're right. A lot of realtors take it.
I think we would do maybe a half day for realtors, or for industry professionals, to understand where the opportunities for their clients would be. But yeah, if they buy AFS, and then we could do a half day, so they can understand the strategy already and then how it applies to them.
Yeah, having a realtor being able to explain this, to both parties and to broker a deal would just be phenomenal. Phenomenal. It would help, it would help a lot of investors out, find deals and opportunities. It would help a lot of sellers out. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking the whole time, is like, how many sellers, call a realtor and ask, can you please sell my house? And they say, no, I can't. And then they go call the bank and then they foreclose. You know what I mean? Yeah. How many, I actually have so many stories about people that I've heard that said, I wish I knew about this before, because it would have saved me from this. Right? Us as investors, we don't know when someone's about to foreclose. We don't have a crystal ball. Like, we have no idea. So, the more realtors that understand it, there's a possibility we could be helping a lot of people out. Considering what's happening right now, considering the announcements we might be hearing tomorrow, you know what I mean? We're in tough times right now, and there's a lot of people that could be helped. So tag that.
Okay, there you go.
Sorry,
happy.
It means a lot to me. There's a lot of people that I wish I could help more people.
It starts with understanding the strategies, putting yourself out there as a problem solver, solution provider, looking for the win-win, finding out the why before you do the numbers. Then you see it. Okay?
This is really great doing it at 5 p.m.
You like that better? Do you guys like that better? Let us know. For you guys, right?
Yeah. Okay. And if you guys got any more questions, if you're watching this on the replay party or just watching it on your own, feel free to leave it in the comments and tag one of us, and we'll get you an answer.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Wayne. I think that this might bring more questions than answers, but let's keep it going. I'd like to do one on the numbers. I like maybe you can just do a little thing, Wayne, showing money now or money later.
I would like to do that as
Calculation
well.
examples. Oh, we can do a Math Monday.
Ooh. You know, I keep thinking, like, even today I was thinking, like, oh man, I probably should have some sort of a slideshow or a presentation or something like that, but I'm not very good with PowerPoint. You're really good with PowerPoint.
I'm really good with PowerPoint. Yeah.
But yeah, I've never been really good to I've never been really good at putting presentations together with slides and whatnot. I like to speak more, just as I go. But yeah,
That's why we make such a good team.
yes. But I
Right?
definitely agree with you. Yes. I agree with you. I think that it would be extremely valuable because there's a lot of people that that don't quite understand the numbers.
Okay.
And
I'm going to put.
I would love to.
Okay. I have right here our schedule for the next month. I'm going to add Monday math.
Monday math.
There you go. Okay, everyone, tell your friends if they're investors about this group. Tell your realtors, tell your mortgage brokers. We're doing this for you guys. I mean, yeah, we have products that we like to sell every once in a while, but there's a huge amount of education and resources in this group.
Mm-hmm. And if you're having trouble scrolling through the group and trying to find videos or whatever else, they're getting uploaded to YouTube as well. So Barry's page is, help me out.
Is it Creative Real Estate
Education with Barry McGuire?
There you go.
Yeah. So all the videos are up there as well. Are you going to get them up on the podcast?
Yep.
Yeah? Oh, then they're coming to podcast too. They're everywhere.
That's us. We're everywhere. Okay, we're going. That's what happens when they put us on at night. Hey? Okay.
Just keep talking. Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye now.